Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you and many more and many more. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. Hello, Lady Judeska. How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Um, Lady Judeska, I'm going to do something. Let me see if I can do it. Lady Judeska, I'm going to add you as a moderator since you are a We Dare Squad member. I'm going to add you as a moderator. Let's see. You will be able to remove anybody in the chat that you see is saying something inappropriate because you know us very well. And you'll be able to hide or put anybody in time out that might need to be put in time out. All right. So glad you came on today. So I got you some admin tools over here. And also, Pastor Ben, if you go over to YouTube, if you're ever on YouTube, I will make you a moderator as well. And that way we can control a little bit more of what's happening in our chat as we are speaking. So I hope everybody's having a great and wonderful day. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. I hope that you've had a refreshing Sunday. For us over here, today is Monday Motivation, Monday Mindset, Mindfulness Monday, however you want to call it. That's pretty much what we focus on over here on Mondays. I have been in this book, the Self Love Rainbow Workbook, and I have been actually working through it because I may want to use it with some of my coaching practices and processes in the future. So I always like to um, let whatever I'm using with clients minister to me first and get a hold of what this material is about before I introduce it into any of my coaching. I always try to practice what I preach, so to speak. So, in this particular book, she is talking about barriers to self love. And we're going to look at three of them that she talks about this morning. She's talking about mental illness, codependence, and overgiving. And so I'm going to read what she has written, and then I'm going to share with you sort of what I have written because she's got her space and then she's got your space down at the bottom to actually respond. So let's look at mental illness. Now, there is mental illness, mental wellness, um, mental therapy, and some people say that they don't necessarily, some people say they don't necessarily deal with mental illness so much as they are dealing with um, trauma. So there's mental illness, there's mental wellness, there's mental therapy, there's mental health, there's trauma, there's being trauma informed, and there's trauma recovery. So a lot of times people take all of those terms and they just group it together. But really, I encourage people to kind of look at each one of those topics and make sure that you aren't labeling something that really shouldn't be labeled as a mental illness. You might just be dealing with trauma, okay, versus having a mental illness. So I think that if you find yourself struggling, I would recommend that you see a licensed therapist, um, that you go through a process of diagnosis and not try to self diagnose. Because a lot of people I see are self diagnosing and they don't really have what it is that they say that they have because they're trying to self diagnose. So if you really want to know, I do encourage anyone who may be struggling, who may be having issues, to actually schedule to see a licensed therapist. There are some programs now that will offer you 1 to 2 hours or 1 to 2 sessions to see a licensed therapist for free. You just have to search out those programs, okay? So let's look at the topic of mental illness here, where she talks about barriers to self love. Anxiety, depression, mood disorders, personality disorders. When it feels like our brain is attacking us, loving ourselves can be difficult. Even getting out of bed can feel like the most Herculean task. My mental illness and self love go hand in hand. Mental illness stopped me from loving myself, she writes, but loving myself vastly improved my mental illness. Taking that first step toward getting help for my anxiety or depression was also one of my first steps towards loving myself. I had to find the will to care, and if you suffer from mental illness, you know that that's one of the hardest things that can be done. Your mission is to make your mental health a priority, not just when it feels like you're spiraling, but every single day. When you start taking steps to feel better in your head, it changes your life in immeasurable ways. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. The topic today is self love, barriers to self love. So, how do you make your mental wellness a priority? That's one of the things that I talk about here. How do you make your wellness, your mental wellness, a priority? Ways that you can take to make your mental wellness a priority. Here are some. I do a lot of breathing techniques. I do a lot of practicing with breathing and moderating my breath. Um, some of the benefits of that is more of a clarity of thought and mind. It actually helps you to calm your nervous system down. Um, I work with a lot of adults when it comes to anxiety and test anxiety. And one of the things that we know that breathing has shown to do research wise is it can actually improve your testing score when you are doing those breathing techniques before you take an exam. I utilize a lot of positive self talk. On here, we often talk about the importance of saying the kind thing to oneself, not necessarily um, lying to yourself, but speaking to yourself in a positive way. Getting rid of what we call circular or doomsday thinking. The person who is always sort of thinking the world is going to come to an end, the world is going to crash down on me today, and they can't seem to get out of that way of thinking. Taking time to breathe, taking time to actually speak to yourself, taking time to actually say, I am okay, I am going to do well today, I'm going to handle what's in my control today, actually helps with that circular doomsday thinking. All right. So, those are some things that you can start to do to make your mental wellness a priority. If you are have been prescribed drugs by your therapist or by your physician, you have the ability to, make sure that you are maintaining, right? You have the ability to make sure that you are maintaining your practice of taking those things that you've been prescribed. So I think it's important that when we look at our mental health, one, we recognize that we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves that we can't push off on anybody else. And we can't be afraid to say, hey, I need help. I'm struggling. I'm not doing well in this area. And I'm going to seek out that help. So moving from just saying, I need help to seeking that help out. Where can I find help? All right. And again, good morning to those of you who are coming in. The next thing she talks about in terms of barriers to self love is codependence. This is another hurdle, is being in a codependent relationship. These relationships can exist between you and a parent, you and a partner, or even you and a friend. In a codependent relationship, how you feel about yourself is defined by how someone else feels about you. Anybody ever been in a relationship like that where you're so concerned about how that person feels about you in the relationship that you stop worrying about your own feelings about yourself? In other words, you begin to mirror that person's moods and emotions and feelings. If they're not feeling good, then you're not feeling good. If they're sad, then you're sad. And it seems like you don't have an emotion outside of how they're feeling. You're always looking to see their reaction to something before you react. When these relationships are toxic or abusive, the codependent person finds themselves with little to no self esteem or self regard. She says, I learned the hard way that we need to have an opinion of ourselves outside of our relationships. If your first reaction when your partner is upset with you is thinking that you're worthless or you're terrible and you don't deserve to exist, you definitely need to work on your own emotional boundaries and self esteem. No one is perfect. Let me say that again. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. We all make mistakes. But when your mistakes start to feel like the end of the world, you messed up, but you feel like the world is going to end because you messed up, it is time to reassess your personal boundaries, and it's time to address your own personal self esteem. Soft Sweet and 808 says unhealthy codependent relationship, and I had to read codependent. No more. Exactly. Exactly. And for those of you who are on YouTube, we are also live on IG. So I am looking at two screens. So if I don't see messages that are relevant to what we're talking about, then please excuse me. But we're trying to stay on topic. So the topic today is self love, barriers to self love, mental illness, codependency, and our third topic is going to be overgiving, which I think a lot of people deal with. Um, so the question is, what has been your experience with codependence? Have you ever had a codependent relationship? Um, I don't really have any experience with codependence. Um, I have been married 24 years and some months, and um, I don't think there's ever been a time when I felt like my self-esteem was being wrapped up in my partner or what I felt like my partner was doing. Um, so I don't think that my self-esteem and my self-worth has been determined by my partner. I feel like I have a really good, healthy self-esteem thanks to my family, my extended family, my village. They were really big on helping us to know who we were. They were really big on helping us to self define. Um, they were never the family that was like, when you grow up, you're going to be this. I know a lot of people that I've encountered have had to grow out of their family molds or their family shaping as to what they felt like they could do in life. I didn't grow up in that environment. I grew up in a you can be whatever you want to be, just make sure that you don't bring embarrassment to the family name. grow up, be somebody, do something wonderful in life, and don't bring embarrassment to the family name. That was the general guidelines. So there was no like, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. Those kind of measurements I didn't grow up with. Um, yeah, so that's kind of been my experience. But like I said, I do know some people who have felt extremely pressured into um, certain job, certain colleges, certain fields of industry, either because their family was a part of that field of industry or whatever. So I really wish people over on YouTube would stay on topic, but I see YouTube has a problem with that. um, so it seems as if in those circumstances, there's been lots of family friction, and people have said, well, what do you do if you have a family that is saying you must go into this field because this is the family business? Or I had one young lady, all of the people in her family felt that she should go into the medical field. She was good in science. And so she spent most of her collegiate time going that route, taking the science courses and all of that. But she was getting really, really burned out by the study. It wasn't that she couldn't do it, it was the fact that it was overwhelming to her. And she just was not interested in it in a career. Well, by the end of those 4 years, she actually wound up graduating in that, but she didn't go on to professionally practice in that area. And I think she's in business now, but that wasn't the field that she ultimately winded up in. So of course, your parents have spent, you know, 4 years of tuition on medical courses thinking that you're going to go on and you switch gears and go to business. Of course, that is going to cause lots of friction. Um, and so, in a situation like that, you got to have the courage, gain the courage to say, I don't want to waste your money. Here's what I want to do. I hope that you will support me in this endeavor. And if your parents don't support you in that endeavor, then you have to definitely look at other alternatives like scholarships, grants, working. Some people have chosen to do that as opposed to just go in line with whatever their family is saying. Now, that, of course, is a more difficult route if you don't have the money. But some people have said, you know what? I've got to go in the direction of what I know I can do, what I desire to do, and I refuse to be put into this mold simply because my family is saying this is what they want me to do. All right, our last one here, overgiving. When there's a deficit of self love in our lives, the easiest way to try to fill it is through praise and adoration of other people, something that often goes along with codependent relationships, though not always. When we are useful and helpful and feel needed by the people around us, it allows us to feel like we're good and like we're worth something. If you find yourself frequently going out of your way, this is key, going out of your way to be helpful or useful to the people around you, especially when it's to your detriment, the best thing you can do is start working on setting boundaries. And the key word there is when it's to your detriment. Nobody is saying don't be helpful. Nobody is saying don't do things for other people. The key words there is when it's to your detriment. You are doing things to the detriment of yourself. Now, I used to be an overgiver, but not because I had a deficit of self love. For me, it was more of a lack of awareness that people found my being extremely helpful annoying or suspicious. Because what I didn't realize is there are a lot of cynical people in the world. And so when you reach out and you're offering to help someone, sometimes they look at you suspiciously. Like, what you doing this for? What I owe you? What's the catch? So I would often get that, and I'm like, there is no catch. I'm just trying to be helpful. I really was. I was just trying to be helpful. Um, or people taking my help and getting annoyed that I could help them. Like sometimes I would get people that would ask me for help thinking that I was going to fail at whatever they were asking me to do. And then when I would do it and excel in it, they would get annoyed that I actually could do what I said I could do. And I was like, I don't, this is just not compute to me. I don't understand. You asked me to do XYZ, I did it, and now you're annoyed that I did it. Were you expecting me to fail? Okay. You were expecting me to fail. Got it. Okay, I won't do that anymore. I won't do that anymore. So you can run across those kinds of people where they're asking you to do something, but it's almost like a test. Like they don't want you to actually succeed in helping them, or they don't want you to actually succeed in what it is they've asked you to do. Um, in those cases, right, I had to start utilizing my boundaries and pulling back when I started experiencing that and encountering that. Because there's one thing that I don't want to do with people is I don't want to overstep my boundaries with people because I know how it feels to have your boundaries violated. But at the same time, I also don't want to be in a competition that I didn't sign up for. Like, I know that I could be competitive, but I choose not to be. I choose not to be. So when someone asks me for help, I'm genuinely trying to help you because I know what I'm doing or I have the wherewithal in order to offer that help. And I know in our society that runs counterculture. Sometimes people think, oh, if you're helping me, you must be helping me because eventually down the line, you're going to want something for the help that you gave. That is what our world teaches us. That's what the culture teaches us that nobody helps you quote unquote for free, that there's always some underlying or ulterior motive that when someone helps you, they're going to want something back from you eventually. Well, for in my case, you will be waiting. You're just going to be waiting because if I'm offering help to people, I'm not to me that's a transaction. That's not help. That's a transaction. And so if I'm doing a transaction with you, I'm very upfront. Hey, if I do this, then I need you to do X, Y, and Z. I spell it out for you. I put it in writing. I communicate it. If I'm offering help, that's exactly what I'm offering. And I don't try to sneak a caveat in there that, oh, I'll help you if you do X, Y, and Z. And so you have to know that about yourself. Um, why do you do the things that you do? What is motivating you to do what it is that you're doing? Are you a helpful person in just naturally? Or are you a person that says, if I help somebody, something has to be in it for me? It's okay to acknowledge that about yourself, but just make sure that you're upfront with people that that's how you are. If I help somebody, I expect something out of it in return. That's not my modus operandi. And because that was not my modus operandi, some people got annoyed, some people got suspicious sometimes, some people genuinely accepted the help and they moved on. And that was great. All right. Last one I want to cover: barriers to self love, self destruction, and self sabotage. There are a lot of reasons why we self sabotage, and it's almost always rooted in a feeling of unworthiness. Some of us have had to unlearn unworthiness. When you feel like you don't deserve for good things to happen to you find a way to sabotage that happiness. Anybody ever sabotaged their happiness? Now I used to do this when I was younger. I would be like, this relationship is too good to be true. Sabotage. I did. Sometimes that looks like not taking risks for your happiness. Other times it looks like settling for something that you know won't make you happy? How many of us have settled for something that we know won't make us happy? Whether that is a relationship, whether that is a job, whether that is a personal item, settled for something you know wasn't going to make you happy. Now, some of us, we can easily change out or switch out the personal item, right? We settle for it, we don't like it. A couple weeks later, we're still not satisfied with it, we go bring it back. Relationships, that's not so easy when you settle, okay? That person might get locked into you as a partner, and you're ready to just say, I don't think this is working out, I think this is over. So many of the true crime stories we have seen are centered around people who settled, were not satisfied, tried to get out of the relationship, and the other party said, You're not going anywhere. So, settling can be a very dangerous thing in relationships. Occasionally, it is all out destructive behavior. You have to decide that you are worthy. And sometimes you have to say it out loud to yourself. I am worthy of good relationships. I am worthy of long term relationships. I am worthy of good things in life. I am worthy of a job that I enjoy. I am worthy of this salary because I have the credentials for it. I have earned this. I have the experience for it. I have the wisdom and the know how for it. You have to decide you're worthy. Nobody can decide that for you. It first starts with you. You have to decide that you deserve good relationships, good communication, good health. You have to decide that. You are deserving and you are worthy. And if you have not told yourself that today yet, go ahead and say it to yourself now. I am worthy and I am deserving of good relationships, good health, good finances, a good professional life. Here's one for me. I am worthy of a peaceful and quiet neighborhood. Oh, yes, I deserve to live in peace. Why? Because I am a peaceful person, I'm a peacemaker. So I shouldn't be living in turmoil. Why? Because I deserve it. I deserve it. I'm worthy of it. All right. So think about what it is in your life that you feel like, hey, I haven't really addressed this with myself yet, but I deserve this. I am worthy of this. If you've been following me any length of time, uh, you know that I live in a neighborhood with lots of Karens and Gertrudes, and I tell you, listen, I tell you, since I've been in this community, we have had to stand on our deservedness and our worthiness. I deserve to have a great neighborhood. I deserve. The other week was, I think a couple of days ago was National Good Neighbor Day, and I was like, yes, it's National Good Day. It's National Good Neighbor Day, but right now I don't have good neighbors. I deserve good neighbors. Why? Because I've been a good neighbor, so I deserve it. And so again, you got to tell your there's certain things you have to say out loud and declare out loud for yourself. I deserve good neighbors. Thank you. That's a good one. I'm worthy and I'm deserving of good health and lots of money. Why? Because I manage money. I'm responsible with money. I give money. I know how to distribute money. I know how to manage money. I know how to save money. I'm a good steward with money. So, yes, I deserve lots of money. What do you deserve today? What do you think that you deserve today? And what do you find yourself worthy of? Have you talked to yourself about what you're worthy of? Or are you waiting for someone from the outside to tell you what you're worthy of? I think it's very sad. The other day, I saw a news article title. It was a very famous singer. I won't say her name, but the news title was basically, um, "My husband is the first person who ever told me I was beautiful." I was sad about that title. You know why? Because I hope she was telling her own self she was beautiful before she got with him. Because did you marry him because he's the first person that told you you were beautiful? I don't know if that's the qualifications. Uh, 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 I'm a little concerned about that. I am. I'm concerned. You should not be running off with the first person who tells you that you're beautiful. You should know that you're beautiful. You should be telling yourself that. Because the moment he tells you you're not beautiful, then what's going to happen to your esteem? That was a little problematic for me. I'm sorry. And then I was like, why is this a headline? Concerning, very concerning. So I hope that that wonderful singer has developed her own self esteem outside of what her husband has told her, because that's a little problematic. All right, this is what I had to share for today. I hope that I have said something that was helpful. I hope I got you thinking about your own affirmations and your own self talk today. If you are dealing with mental health issues, I hope that you will reach out and get the help that you need. I will come back for YouTube. I'll come back a little bit later after this broadcast processes, and I will add some um, links in the comment section to where you can reach out to get mental health help. And I hope that you have a great and wonderful Monday. You are worthy of so much more. You are deserving of so much more in this life. And I hope that you will pursue it and go after it. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness, so continue to go out and be light. We are going to have the talk back on IG, so if you want to meet us over there, the IG is at Daring Dialogues if you want to come on camera to speak. Please come respectfully or don't come at all because I don't tolerate craziness on the talk back. All right? All right. Take care, everyone on YouTube. Have a great and wonderful day. See you soon. All right. Soft, sweet pea.